Okay. It's my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, someone who's redefining what it means to be an innovative leader in the legal industry. Billy Tarascio is the owner of Modern Law and creator of the Modern Divorce Navigator, two platforms that are transforming the way that family law is practiced and experienced. As an accomplished attorney, entrepreneur, speaker, and author, she's built a reputation for helping lawyers scale their firms, develop strong leadership, and build operational systems that actually work. Please join me in welcoming to the CleoCon stage, Billy Tarascio.
Thank you for that very nice introduction. That was lovely. I wouldn't have said that about myself, but I appreciate it. Welcome. I feel kind of a little weird about this slide now that you've seen Jack's presentation, but in the last 3 months, I've had a couple of things happen to me personally within my firm that makes me think that the future of law is going to change very, very, very rapidly. And that was before we heard Jack say everything that he said. The first thing is that I have actual AI technology that I stumbled upon replacing and doing a better job at intake than my humans. It's crazy. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to play for you a recording, and we're going to talk about how impactful that is. As somebody who's been obsessed with intake for many, many years, that is an incredibly impactful thing. And the other thing is that private equity is coming in to buy law firms, making offers. They are making cash offers to buy law firms. And it's not because I'm in Arizona. It's because that's what's happening. Private equity and venture capital has lots and lots of money, and they're looking for places to put that money, and they know that legal is a very untapped resource. Oh, I made too many notes and I can't scroll, but that's fine. Consolidation has happened in industries all over the country: healthcare, dental, veterinarian, retail, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And legal's not immune just because of our regulatory monopoly. They'll figure out other ways to do it. So what we're going to talk about today is scaling your firm. And by the end of the day, you're going to know how to get from wherever you're at today to $15 million in revenue. You're going to know everything that you could possibly need to know. Not really. But we're going to talk about what problems or bottlenecks or issues you might be having at different points in your revenue stage, bottlenecks that you might be experiencing, leadership development within your firm, alternative revenue complementary systems, and then AI policies and systems for your law firm if you're working within a law firm. All right, so at each of these benchmarks, you're going to have different issues. How many people right now are going up to that $1 million mark? How many people are going up to that $3 million mark? Who's on their way to 5? Who's on their way to 10? And is anybody at or over 15? Awesome. Very cool. Okay, so getting to $1 million, the most important thing is clients. You don't need a ton of systems, you don't need a ton of tech. And at every single one of these revenue points, what we're going to be thinking about is what do I need in order to get clients? How do I get enough clients in the door, which is always marketing and intake? Do I have the right people, staffing? Do I have the right tech? And do I have the right policies? At each level, those are all really important things. So starting out at 1 million, the most important thing is kind of the client part. And that is really the getting up to 1 million. It's really the entrepreneur that is driving the engine of getting yourself to 1 million. Now, it shouldn't really be hard because there are many more people who need legal services than there are lawyers who can provide legal services. That's why our our rates are so high, and why 70 to 80% of the people don't access the legal services they need. So it should be okay to get clients, but you're really working on that marketing piece, you're working on that intake piece. You might be answering your own phone for a while, but at some point you're gonna have to hire somebody to answer your phone for you. And that's gonna be a crucial first hire. You're also probably gonna need 2 to 4 lawyers, maybe a couple of support staff. And one metric to keep your eye on is revenue per employee, okay? So you take your total revenue for the whole year and you divide it by the total number of employees you have. If that number is below $150,000, you probably cannot be profitable. Your people are either unproductive or you are overstaffed. Really, 200,000 is probably the base level that you should look at. But this is a quick spot check no matter where you're at on that revenue curve. Systems are pretty simple, right? Because you've got a small team. So you're meeting together to talk about all your cases. You're doing case management review together. You probably need a practice management software, email marketing, Google. You don't need a ton. And so many people talk about like building systems for scaling. Well, you got to build them when you need them, right? And so you're going to learn those and develop those as you go along. Getting from, so this is what getting to $1 million felt like to me. Like everything was just driving really fast. Like the car felt a little out of control. Like it was a little ad hoc, right? You're just doing the thing. And I think that that's okay. I forgot to tell you. So in the last 15 years, my firm has grown a lot. On average, 24.5% a year in the last 10 years, over the last 10 years. I didn't count the early years because those are when you double, because you're really little. But we have been growing and scaling, not super fast, not crazy viral moments, but like block by block, building by building, system by system, hire by hire. So all of these things that I'm talking to you about are hard lessons one, because I've done it just like you're doing it. So that first million felt a little crazy and chaotic, like a driving on fire car. The 1 to 3 million felt really good. It was like we were a team and we were together and we were all in this together. It wasn't so big that we had a lot of hierarchy. You didn't need a lot of middle management. You didn't need a lot of administration. Everybody was on my leadership team, right? The whole team was a leadership team and we got together every single quarter and we would build together. But at some point, that doesn't work anymore. At some point, your team is too big. And when you take them on these retreats and you talk about the problems, you talk about the growth, people get frustrated, overwhelmed, and they just want a job and they just want support. So you have to start changing from being a we're all in this together team that's going to grow this in a scrappy entrepreneurial way to a stable company that provides what employees want you to provide, which is good benefits, predictability. They don't want a lot of chaos. They're not entrepreneurs. They don't want to be on your journey with you, at least not all of them. So you need to figure out who is going to be that leadership team, and then how are you going to start developing leaders? This was a tough time for me. By this revenue point, I needed many other people to start managing. And I hadn't had a great system for developing leaders. We didn't have a ton of policies and structure. It was a little difficult to create that structure because I'm really entrepreneurial. So I just kind of want to do the thing and take the opportunity and, experiment all the time. And that doesn't work at a certain point, or it works, but only within a subset of your firm, not within the whole firm. So I had to learn some discipline and we had to put managers in place. And one of the hardest things, it was easier to figure out how to hand off clients to other lawyers for representation than it was to figure out how to hand off lawyers to other lawyers for management. That was a challenge. Has anybody experienced that? Yeah, okay. So you also needed you needed different tech. You needed different structure. You needed tech that would help you with your employee management, that would track one-on-ones, that would document all your systems. Like my very first handbook was called Don't Be a Jerk, right? And you can get away with that when you're in that up to 1 million mark, where it's like, come on, we're all in this together. Like, let's just not be a jerk. It doesn't work anymore. 5 to 10 million has been pretty smooth because of the structure, the leadership development, the systems, the training, the oversight. We act like a grown-up firm now. And it's necessary by the time you get here. So quality control becomes really, really important. Technology and kind of tech bloat becomes an issue, and you got to work on getting rid of that tech bloat. And then 10 million and beyond, I'm not there yet, but I'm pretty sure it involves like a plane that you fly around in all the time. Not really. During this time, you're really working on expansions, mergers with other firms, expanding your practice areas, finance, figuring out what you want to do. You go into a higher level of thinking, which is why leadership development is so important. So if you are trying to figure out, okay, what do I build next? I've got this firm I want to build. I'm just not sure what thing to tackle next. So here are some things that you can start thinking about. But start at the beginning. Always start at intake and consultations because they are your lowest hanging fruit, okay? Their intake is going to make the biggest difference on your firm at every single growth stage. And I've fixed intake again and again and again and again, and you're never done. So always go back and take a look at intake. Specifically, take a look at the data, know the data, figure out the systems, upgrade your tech, do what you got to do. And then work your way through the process, right? Of the client journey, of the delivering services. That's one way you can look at it. Another thing is data. You have to have data. So figuring out how you're going to get data in front of your face and what you need to track. You need to track intake data. So marketing, how many leads do I have? How many of those leads are becoming consultations and how many consultations are becoming clients? You have to track it. And then you want to track your lawyer's productivity, and they need to have goals and you need to be enforcing them. And you have to, how many people struggle with underperforming lawyers? Okay, great. Let's talk about this for a second. Do you have a system and a policy for how you deal with underperforming lawyers? Yes? What is it?
Money. Just the more you bring, the more you pay.
You pay a percentage. And you're okay if people are working part-time because you're paying them a percentage? You're fine with it?
I try to be very generous.
You're fine with it. Okay. All right. Anybody else have a system they deal with underperforming lawyers? No? We had to figure it out. We decided our people are on salary because most employees in my firm want salaries. So we decided if you're short 1 quarter, you get a development plan with your manager. And if you're short 2 quarters, you immediately go to a percentage and might be subject to being fired. Because we don't really want part-time lawyers, but maybe sometimes we do. You know, it depends on the circumstance, right? It depends on if you like this person and they're taking time off because of their circumstances, or they're just an underperformer and you really should get them out. Do you have slackers, downers, or terrorists? The wrong people within your firm will kill your firm. That was my $3 to $5 million problem. My $3 to $5 million problem was I was kind of the manager and was loosey-goosey with the rules and didn't have stuff that I enforced and didn't feel good about putting those structures in place. And you know what? When we finally figured out these are the structures that are in line with the values of the firm and we're sticking to them, everything got better. People got happier, they complained less, I made more money, now we can finally scale. So don't hesitate to get the wrong people out of your firm. Bottlenecks. Your biggest bottlenecks are absolutely everywhere. And I think identifying them are just opportunities. Anytime there's a bottleneck, there's an opportunity. So these are the biggest places where you can see bottlenecks. The founder having, or owner or partners having too many cases, too many direct reports, not enough time to do other things, right? The things that you have to do to grow your business, to identify the problems. Like Nefra, who was just in, was talking about when was the last time you took a step back to focus on your growth. You have to build in time and structures within your growing firm to give yourself time to figure out what the bottlenecks are and work on them. Systems. If you have a lack of visibility of data, or like a gazillion years ago, one of the systems or tech that we didn't have was like version tracking on Word. Obviously that was a gazillion years ago, but it's an example, right? So you might have systems issues, tech that is getting in the way and is a bottleneck and has to be upgraded. Like, I think we're going to probably implement case status because one of the bottlenecks and deficiencies right now is the client communication piece. I'm relying on my lawyers to do emails and my paralegals to do emails. How many of you are doing that? Probably most. But it'd be good if we could move beyond that. So identifying those bottlenecks, seeing it, and then figuring out the software that can help you is a great thing. Administration was one of my biggest problems. My number two, who started the firm with me, is like the opposite of me, which is very normal, right? I'm kind of maybe an over-delegator. My problem with delegation is maybe not giving enough direction or not being clear in my expectations, but I'm happy to have lots of people do lots of things and try them. And then my number two is this is how it's done, this is right. And she became the gatekeeper of all things. She was the person in the firm who knew everything, and we depended on her for everything. And she became a massive bottleneck. And she was resistant to delegation because she didn't want to feel irrelevant. She didn't want people to do it wrong. She had a lower tolerance for errors. She didn't want to train people if she thought they wouldn't get it right. And investing in administration is something I did too late, which is why I had, the 3 to 5 kind of issues. I didn't have a full-time HR person. I didn't have somebody who had time to do training and quality control. So you have to invest in administration, which is hard because they don't bring you in any money, right? But if they're bringing you in lawyers, they're bringing you in money. And if you can hire and train and keep people happy, it's going to be the right call when you need it. And then policies, not having clear standards is a bottleneck. Sitting in your leadership team talking about the same person who's on the issues list week after week because you don't know what your standard is for how you handle XYZ problem is a bottleneck. So whenever I don't want somebody being on vacation to ever be a reason that something doesn't get done. So at this point, we're really focused on cross-training, on making sure everybody has the information that they need in order to make the decision. Like if 3 or 4 people are out of the office for 4th of July week, but we need to make a hire, I need somebody who's there who can send the offer letter, which means cross-training. One of the things I would really encourage you to ask yourself when you have an issue is, do I have a systems problem or do I have a people problem? And one of the ways you can figure that out is by asking yourself, do we have a policy on this topic? And is it being followed? This has been, like, if you could write that down. Do we have a system? Is it being followed? Has solved so many issues. Because if the answer is yes and no, which sometimes it is, then the answer is follow the system. And if the answer is no, then write the system. And then you know what to do. Then you know how to solve your problem. Because if you have a system, it's not being followed, you tell the person to follow it and they don't, you have your answer. Or you find out that you have to change the system, which is fine too. Communication and structured communication is absolutely key once you get to a certain point. So when we were having cultural difficulties, everybody was always telling me they had no idea what was going on, which was weird because I was always telling them everything that was going on, right? So they were saying to me, I didn't know we were doing blah, 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 or I didn't know we were doing, when are we doing blah, blah, blah? And I for darn sure told them when these things were coming. Emails, Slacks, company meetings. But you know what? We all have so much information coming at us all the time that nobody retains anything. So we, out of our marketing department, came up with a specific internal communications and marketing protocol, a structure of communication. And now people still may not know what's going on, but they know it's on them and not on me. So that's a win, right? Because we go over the same information in our company meetings. We have town hall meetings where I don't attend, but people can show up. It's optional, and you can talk about anything you want to talk about. This tech isn't working, this system is blah. We have, seems like we have a rush of bad clients coming in, or whatever it might be. We have a newsletter that is super celebratory, but also goes over any information that people have to have, right? Events are coming up. This is where you need to be. This is when. And also, this person got a new dog, and this person had the top NPS score, and this person had the top conversion rate. So it's a great, great way to have some fun, to acknowledge people who need to be acknowledged, because your top performers need to be acknowledged. And then we have an announcements channel in Slack. So whenever there's something that somebody needs to know, it's in the announcements channel. So people still feel out of the loop, but they know exactly where to get the information. So that's been key. Leadership development is absolutely crucial. So what are you doing to develop leaders within your team? Focusing on human development is huge. So this year we had like 9 promotions within the firm, lots of people moving lots of directions because we need more trainers, we need more managers, we need more help hiring. Our top administrator left, and then we had to figure out the structure to change it. We expanded into a different geography, and now we needed support down there. There was a lot of movement. So a lot of this comes down to growth plans and figuring out what people want. Where do you want to go? What is it that you'd like to accomplish in your career or at this firm? What are you interested? Are you interested in management? Are you interested in becoming an expert in your field? Are you interested in moving into tech? Like, what do you want? So making sure that your managers are having one-to-one conversations and that you've got a system for tracking those one-to-one conversations is pretty critical. And then how many of you have a software for tracking one-on-ones, leadership data, your employee performance? Okay, I think I see 2. Really? Really? Nobody else does? 3. Okay. I think this is crucial when you get to 10 people, maybe 12, maybe 15. But I think by the time you get there, you need a system. So every single person has a manager. Every single person has one-on-ones. Before those one-on-ones, every single person gets a survey that says, on a scale of 1 to 10, how you doing? You fill it out. How's your overall well-being? How's your productivity? What's working and not working? Do you have any roadblocks? What else is on there, Marjan? I don't know. It's like 4 or 5 things, check-ins. How you doing physically, mentally, emotionally, productivity-wise? And it really helps you gauge where people are at. It also allows you to take notes and write down, is this working or is this not working? We also have onboarding that is a 3-phase onboarding. You're onboarding, you're developing, and you're mastery. And so in those one-on-ones, we're going over with them, with our people, what is required for this job for mastery and where are you at on these things? So you're being evaluated, so they're getting feedback. And what happens is people start really, really liking getting feedback because feedback isn't just when somebody's mad at you or it's training, it's development, and they feel like they're being mentored and trained and development, which is really, really key. So one of the hard things is when you have a bunch of people who are peers and you need somebody to become a manager and then start managing the person who was their peer before, right? So has anybody struggled with that? Had some little office drama? Oh yeah, okay. So one of the ways that we have worked on that really successfully is by moving people first from, let's say, paralegals to trainers. And you open it up to anybody and you say, who wants to be a trainer? Here's what comes with that. You have to come into the office, you're training our new people. This is not a glamorous job, right? This is work. Because we mostly work from home. You're developing systems, and we only had a few people who said, yes, that's what I want to do. They did that for a while, and then it was very easy to promote them to managers because they had already taken the steps. So I really like having people who are promoting be developed and be acting in the leadership capacity before they get the title change. So in another example, I've got a lawyer who came on maybe a year ago, and she's not like the most experienced or the best, lawyer per se, but she's really an excellent manager, and she wanted to be a manager, and she was interested in management. So I put her in charge of a program that we were developing, the legal clinic, and I'll tell you all about the legal clinic. And she ran the legal clinic for a year, and she ran mock trials, and she taught law students. And then when it was time to promote her to managing attorney, she was qualified, and everybody had watched her perform as a leader. So there wasn't a, why did she get picked and not me? And I'm telling you this because I've experienced that. Why is so-and-so my manager? I bill more than they do. That's not really the point, right? But leadership development is absolutely crucial. And then giving your people different career paths, specialists, practice group leads, find a way to tap into what people want for themselves, how they want to be recognized, and develop that in them, because then you can use that to grow that thing bigger, right? These are ways that we have worked on leadership development within the firm. We have legal paraprofessionals within the state of Arizona, which allows non-lawyers to become licensed to practice. So that's one option. Certified specialist is another thing that lawyers can try to do. We bring in a trial skills coach. So every single month, we're just getting started with this. She's going to come in and she's outside the firm and runs trial school at our state, and she has for 20 years. She's going to come teach monthly trial skills. And then she's going to do individual coaching and development for one lawyer per month. So she'll watch one of their trials, she'll grade them on a objective rubric, and then work on developing those trial skills. So these are ways that I'm investing in my team. Hopefully that means they want to stay longer and they're getting something from the firm. I feel like as a firm, we have to show up for our clients. Like, we serve two populations. We serve clients and we serve employees. And in some ways, the employees are a little bit more important. You know, we don't necessarily always, both of these groups need a lot of attention. Okay, so before we get to the fun part, let's talk about AI. Can you ethically use AI? There was a ABA opinion that came out that was rather scary, 512. And lawyers, maybe outside this conference, but lawyers are not all that excited about AI. There's been a lot of ethical problems with AI, but you can ethically use AI. And there's 6 rules. Number 1, you must use tools that are legitimate in that they secure the information that is stored in places that are compliant with security, right? The same way when you chose your cloud software, you had a duty not to just pick Joe Blow across the street. You had a duty to make sure that CLEO is storing your client's data appropriately. Same thing applies to AI. Number 2, you cannot allow your data to train the model. And you can turn this off. So we have a ChatGPT Teams account, which means we can share and collaborate within ChatGPT, but also we can turn off training with the model. This is really important because if you don't, then you're sharing your client's data with the company to build their model from it. We can't do that, okay? Number 3, you must not overcharge. So if you are billing hourly, you can't use AI to make you a beautiful document and then charge what it would have taken you to draft that. Can't do that, right? That would be unethical. You have to supervise all work coming out of AI, right? This is the thing that is getting lawyers in trouble. This, probably the money thing too, but this is the thing that's most famous for lawyers getting themselves in trouble. You must check the sites that come out of AI. AI is notoriously bad at citing the correct rules and cases. So just scare the bejesus out of your people and make sure that they never file or deliver anything with any type of site that they haven't checked. You must disclose to your clients that you are using AI. And we just put it in the fee agreement. And in my white paper that I am going to give to you at the end of this, along with the tech stack, I've got for you the language that we put in our fee agreement to say, we use AI, you're gonna love it too, don't worry. I say it in a really great way that does not make them be like, what? No, it's really good. They're like, oh yeah, great, I love that. And then also the policy that we have internally for the firm, that is the AI use policy, because you need that too. And then you have to train your team. We all have this duty of competence when it comes to all technology, which includes AI, which means your team has to actually understand how AI works. And you cannot take for granted that they do. They probably don't. I can tell you from the questions that my team asks related to AI, they don't all understand how it works. All right, now I'm going to play for you something that is, magnificent. Meet Emma.
Hi, you've reached Modern Law on a recorded line. I'm Emma, the AI assistant. How can I help you today?
I need to speak to an attorney.
I can help with that. Could you tell me a bit about what's going on so I can connect you with the right person?
So I have sole custody and sole legal decision making. Dad has supervised visitation, and at the moment, he is trying to take more than what I'm willing to compromise my children to.
Thank you for sharing that. It sounds like a difficult situation. To make sure we get you the right support, can I get your full name, please? Firm, is your custody case taking place here in Arizona?
Yes.
I'm glad you reached out today. To make sure we understand your situation, could you tell me a bit more about what's happening right now? For example, has anything new been filed with the court, or are there any upcoming deadlines?
No, nothing new, but I do need to file something for visitation on Saturday.
Understood. It sounds like you have an urgent need to file something regarding visitation this weekend. Who else is involved in the case besides you and the children's father? Any attorneys, agencies, or other parties?
No, just me, the children, and their dad.
Thank you for clarifying. How many children are involved and what are their ages?
2 children, 1 girl, age 12, 1 boy, age 10.
Thank you. If this situation went exactly how you want, what would that look like for you and your children?
I don't know anymore.
I understand this sounds really overwhelming, and it's completely normal to feel unsure in a situation like this. What do you feel you need help with first? Is it preparing the paperwork, understanding your options, or something else?
Understanding my options.
That makes sense. We help parents in situations just like yours every day, and our attorneys can walk you through your options and next steps. Would you like to schedule a family law consultation? This is a 1-hour meeting with an attorney who specializes in custody and visitation issues. The fee ranges from $250 to $450, depending on the attorney you choose, and you'll get clear guidance tailored to your situation. Would you like to move forward with that?
I don't know if I'll have the money for that. Thank you.
I understand cost is a real concern for many people. We also offer a legal clinic consultation for $100 where you can meet with a supervised law clerk for practical guidance and document help. Would you like to try that option, or would you prefer to think about it and book later?
I will have to book later. Thank you.
Of course. Right after this call, you'll receive a text and an email with a secure link to choose a time and pay, so you can book whenever you're ready. Am I missing anything important, or is there anything else you'd like to ask?
No, that's it. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you for reaching out today. I appreciate your time. Goodbye for now.
Okay, so this is the most exciting thing that has happened in my law firm in a lot of years. Because I'm obsessed with intake. I have courses I teach on intake. I have hired so many intake people. I train so many intake people. Intake is the hardest position in the firm because it's like kind of the lowest level, right? And so they feel like they get, the short end of the stick from the paralegals and the lawyers. They don't always get the responses they want. They don't feel respected. Clients dump on them. It's emotionally taxing. They get burned out. They need gobs and gobs of emotional support from their managers. Right? And this client right here, this potential client, she had a great experience. I talked to her. She gave me permission to share this. Don't you worry. But she had a great experience talking to Emma. And this is not a great client for modern law. This is not somebody that I necessarily need to have my people spend a lot of time talking to. That was a 5-minute AI conversation that cost me $3. And it probably would have been a 25-minute conversation or more with my intake person, who is then not calling back higher quality leads. This Emma overcame objections. She validated. She asked the right questions. She matched the pacing of the person. Like, is anybody else's mind blown? Okay, so I stumbled upon this software, okay? Lexidesk.ai. Everyone should call them, although they may not be ready for so many, but like, you guys need this. Here's why. Last month, so I turned it on because we'd gotten like a brand new intake team. It just happened that one of them went to law school, and another one burned out and crashed out. Another one also was like, I am so sick of this, please let me do something else. And so we have a whole new intake team, right? And we train them, and we have great training resources and a great intake manager. But from day one, this plugin software was better. It was better. And so I captured 20% more leads last month, which means my calls were getting missing. And do you know why I went and looked for this software? Because I have this marketing team. I don't like outsourced marketing. How many of you keep marketing in-house? Okay, how many of you outsource it? Okay, do you like it? Do you like the outsource? I hate outsourced marketing, but we did it. I don't know why. I just like to try things, and they had a cool model, so we tried it. They were not performing. We were having meetings with them where they needed to justify the cost. And do you know what they said? You're missing all your calls. You're not answering 40% of your calls. And then when I looked into it, yeah, we were missing a lot of calls. We were missing a lot of calls. Why? Meetings, one-on-ones, empathy breaks. Like, it's a hard job. I'm not coming down on them. They're great people. It's just a hard job. So I turned it on, found it accidentally, and captured 20% more leads. It's freaking amazing. It's the coolest thing I've done in a long time. Every single time a lead comes in, we get this, okay? Which means my intake team can now spend their time calling back the highest value, highest quality people. So I might have 30 unprocessed leads, and they now know exactly who I want them to call back. We can fast track stuff. Emma asks all the right questions. And you know what else? If I train Emma to do something differently, or if I fix something with Emma, I fix it once. Yeah.
Does Emma connect you with a data set?
Yeah. Yeah. So the question is, will Emma pass pass you along? So we have Emma set up to, if somebody says, I want to talk to a human, the first thing she says is, great, tell me a little bit about what's going on so I can get you to the right place. Hopefully she can then do her spiel, which usually works, guys. People are talking to Emma. The only people who don't like talking to Emma are judges, which we've worked on. But anyway, people are talking, which we can talk about. Okay, but people are talking to Emma. And then if they say, but let's say they say, I want to talk to a human. And she says, tell me more so I can get you to the right place. And they're like, give me a human. Then she immediately transfers to the intake team. Or if somebody says, I'm calling for my attorney so-and-so, they say, okay, I'm going to transfer you now to a phone tree where you're going to enter their extension, its number, blah, 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 blah. Transfer, get to the thing. Okay, pretty stinking cool. Okay, but I also wanted to share this with you because this happened. Hi, you've reached Modern Law on a recorded line. I'm Emma, the AI assistant. How can I help you today? You could fucking kill yourself. I'm here to help with legal matters or someone to talk to. Please consider reaching out to a mental health professional or a trusted person in your life. Take care. Can we just give it up for Emma? What? And you guys, this happens. Our intake people take a lot of abuse. And this was a client, because that sometimes happens. We do family law. We have 500 clients. Sometimes we get crazies. All right, so that's all. Okay, we use a lot of AI, okay? We use a lot of AI in the firm. But this one that I just showed you is the thing I'm most excited about that has ever happened. And I highly recommend you reach out to lexidesk.ai. All right, let's talk about some other really cool things. Once you get to be largish, there's all these complementary things that come along with your main area of practice. So one of the things that has grown out of our main area of practice is estate planning, because guess what? Everybody who gets a divorce also needs estate plan. And also, I'm in Arizona where lots of old people are, and lots of old people keep moving there. And it's an underserved area. And also, it's a transactional practice, which allows my litigator lawyers who need a break to find another area of law and take a break for a minute, which is really important. And it's also not, I have a capacity problem where the thing that is limiting our growth is lawyers, getting enough lawyers. How many of you have that problem? And with estate planning, you don't necessarily need the same, like, I need more lawyers to scale. So that's why estate planning came out. Mediation was kind of like a no-brainer. I don't know why it took me so long. I had had for a long time clients calling who wanted mediation and lawyers who wanted to do mediation, and they just simply hadn't been like, yes, this is an area of law we practice. So that was easy, low-hanging fruit that I should have done earlier. We have a legal clinic that is so cool. So we are able to hire law students, get them certified under Rule 39 to give legal advice, and have them work under the supervision of a legal clinic director. This allows me to get great law students in, to train them, to get a pipeline of lawyers, which I need, and to offer the public low-cost legal services, and to give the law students an opportunity to do hands-on work that they want to do. So I love, love, love the legal clinic. And then I've got the Modern Divorce Navigator. Modern Divorce Navigator is a national platform that is not legal services. It's open to absolutely anyone. And what the members get, it's a membership, and what they get is online courses, a support group, and office hours with attorneys. And I got this ethically approved, don't you worry. We have proper disclaimers to let everybody know in the office hours where we show up that this is not legal advice. It's not, you don't have an attorney-client relationship. There is no conflicts, and don't share anything that you don't want all these people in this membership to know. But it's really cool, and it allows us to access a huge, huge population who cannot afford, let's say, even the $250 consultation. And they can get office hours up to 5 days a week. They can pop on and ask their lawyer a question. Now, I am really looking for other lawyers who want to join this because it's a lot of work. And I want to keep it open, but I need more people who want to participate. So if anybody has any interest, I will tell you it turns into clients. It's good for the soul. Reach out and let me know if anybody is at all interested in that. The white paper that I referenced is here. You can email me with anything, and we have 16 whole minutes to chat about anything that you want to chat about.
We are going to be running a mic around the room, so if you want to raise your hand if you have a question for Billy, we'll get you a mic. If you can please just wait to ask your question until the mic reaches you so everyone can hear your question. All right, we've got one over there.
I love Emma.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I know.
I have a criminal defense law firm. Most of my intake is, I would say 90% of my intake is completed on the first call with payment done before they're off the phone. So I'm trying to figure out how to plug Emma into that process because I don't know that Emma could close and run a credit card.
Maybe not today. She might need some training, but she might get there. I don't know. No, probably not. I think that would be unethical, actually. I think lawyers have been sanctioned for that. Don't do that. Okay. But what happened last weekend is I got a juvenile case who was charged with murder. We do juvenile law, but this person was being charged with murder, and they called. And so I got this in my real time. I got that lead, and I copied and pasted it over to my criminal law friend, and he called the client back. So at least you're going to get the screening and the real-time message so then that you can call them back and close them.
And we have an outsourced reception service.
She's not that good,
sounds
though,
like,
is she?
Huh?
Is she that good?
No.
Yeah.
No. The upwards inflection at the end of every
Oh my
sentence.
gosh.
Yeah. Let's be friends. I'm in Southern California and I do criminal law.
I would love to be friends.
All right, other questions?
Way over here, and one over here.
It sounds like you're excellent at hiring, and I was wondering how you vet your hires to find people like you that want to work for you and will thrive in this environment.
Yeah.
It's hard to find, the right people for the right environment?
So one of the things that's been really good is me not doing the hiring. Because I'm real optimistic. And everybody I meet, I'm like, they're going to be amazing. Look what they can bring to the firm. It'll be fine. Yeah, there's some red flags, but we really need lawyers. So getting me out and letting my managing attorneys, who are far more like realistic, it's not their job to be the cheerleader. That's just, anyway, that's been really helpful. And then the other thing is to just have clear, like, what are we looking for? And be really, really clear about what we're looking for. So at Modern Law, people have a lot of flexibility. You can work from home, you can flex your time, but you have to meet your goals. And so if you are somebody who needs a lot of structure, you're not going to be successful at my firm. We just know that. So getting really clear about what's a good fit and then hiring for that good fit. And then also we market. We have an internal marketing team and we market for the lawyers we want. We talk about what it's like to work here, who would be a great fit. We interview the people who work there and celebrate the things we do online, and we celebrate them. So if they get a positive review, we'll put up the lawyer and the positive review and just brag on them. And then other lawyers at firms who aren't being bragged on might be interested. I hope that's helpful. And you had a question, right?
One of the things that my law firm really is struggling with right now is we have very niche practice areas where there's not a lot of attorneys that practice in our field, or we have the other side, which is criminal law, which I think everyone in the room has at least had some experience with criminal law. So how do you maybe find a balance between marketing for those attorneys that, I know you kind of just said you don't really do it specifically, but if we're in an area like we don't have a lot of probate litigation attorneys in our area and we're thinking about maybe adding another or someone in a similar field, there's like 2 firms in our city that do it and we're one of them. How do you kind of maybe overcome those challenges for people coming into your firm?
Well, you may have to do a lot of training. And I'll tell you, for us to grow, we had to do a lot of training. We hire a lot of people who maybe don't know what they're doing, but they're super talented and they're bright. And then we give them a lot of training. So you might have to raise your own lawyers. But you could also look for lawyers who are changing practice areas, or I don't know where you live, maybe. It's just hard. Like, recruiting lawyers is hard. Sorry. Okay. Hi.
Hey, Billy.
Hi. Good to see you.
Good to see you. When we're talking about training those attorneys, it sounds like you have built a lot of internal systems, but how do you think you need to train those attorneys internally, or is it sending them out to trial trainings elsewhere, outside your zone with all sorts of other organizations that do trial training?
I think that's a good idea, right? It depends on, so I think the first thing you want to do is write down everything that somebody has to do in order to be a practitioner. And we recently did this because Arizona is now allowing LPs, and we like LPs. And we hired one who did the education route. So she went and got the degree and passed the test, but she's never worked in a law firm. And I'm pretty sure she's not ready. But we needed to come up with very objective criteria of here is what you must do. And so then you can figure out what are the right training resources based on what are they short in. So if they're short on trial skills, you can send them to trial school. If they're, if it's culture and empathy like that, you're not going to get that in trial school. So I think structured training is really important, and it gives everybody accountability and freedom.
Other questions? We have one at the front too.
First of all, congratulations on your practice.
Oh, thank you.
Very well done. I have 2 questions. Is the legal clinic a loss leader, or does it break even? And what part of your budget is allocated for training? And do you train like lawyers, managers, and leaders? Because I think you have to lead, manage, and execute really to be a great lawyer. So do you have that all kind of worked out? And what percentage of your budget are you spending on that?
That's such a good question. So I'm pretty sure we lose money on the clinic. But I wish I had a better answer, but I'm pretty sure we lose money on the clinic. But it depends on the timing. So we started off with 8 legal interns. We kept the best 2. Those were then profitable for their last year of law school, the summer, and then coming in. And then 2 of them just got licensed, and they were definitely profitable like the last 6 to 9 months. And they did a combination of helping lawyers and legal clinic work. But I do allocate money to recruiting and retention, and I put the legal clinic as kind of part of that budget. And then the other thing you asked was, you said like, okay, you need trainers, you need leaders, and you need managers, right? And sometimes people need all 3, and sometimes you don't. Like there are some lawyers who are great lawyers and really good leaders, but not good managers. My managers are not necessarily my best lawyers. I don't know that those are the same skills, like personality maybe. So my cutthroat litigators, you don't want to pull them off and make them a manager, but you have to give them prestige, right? Because we think of the managing attorney as being superior, but you got to change that, right? So you have to make them a senior attorney or a special counsel, or I don't know. You got to come up with the right names: practice group leader, specialist in blah blah blah. Whatever it is that's important to them has to be recognized. And then the training part, most of the training, the nuts and bolts training, we have paralegals do. Lawyers are mostly mentoring lawyers, even with the writing and things like that. But this is how you need to manage your case. It's time to do discovery. Those are more done by paralegals.
Thank you. When you're still in that scrappy, pushing $1 million or going 1 to 3 million phase, and you're thinking about adding an operations person, are you thinking of them as solely operations, as somebody who's not producing any revenue, or is there a path to have somebody who is wearing multiple hats, just like I do marketing and trials, and the ops guy could be maybe learning family law, or is that a crazy concept? And how soon is too soon to add someone who is not revenue producing for that small and scrappy growing phase?
This is why sometimes I think it's easier to be my size than it was like looking back. Because now it's plug and play. We're scaling, we're acquiring practices but that's hard. I think you should figure out that revenue per employee number. You have to be, so here's the problem. If you don't invest in the structure and the system and the humans, you won't get to the next level, but you also have to manage profitability. So I would be willing to sacrifice profitability. Let's say instead of making 25% profit, I'm cool with making 15% profit, maybe sometimes 12% on a really bad year where we're really investing in growth. If that's intentional and it's pushing you to the next level.
In the green shirt, a couple rows back.
Yeah, one of my colleagues in a different industry is utilizing an AI agent for collections of overdue bills, which is also kind of like a salesy thing. You have to be like, hey, you're overdue, and it can take payment over the phone.
Yeah.
I haven't looked into it yet, but I'm curious as hell if you or anyone else is doing it.
No, but if you find it, because now I'm like, what else?
I'll let you know.
Right? You see that and you're like, what else? Because it's not like none of my humans are gone. They're just available to do different higher value things or spend less time being abused or, whatever.
Question at the back.
Hi, how are you doing today?
Great.
Excellent. Great job doing what you were doing. Couple quick questions. How long did it take you to get to where you're currently at? because you're where you're currently at. I think everyone wants to get to. And as an aside of that, acquiring practices, excellent way to grow. And I think that we all could learn from that. The second one is, what was your capital investment? And then Emma, what did you train that AI or AI agent, or does Lexi AI do that?
It's trained. So I should have given you this history. So they developed this 4 years ago in the UK, and they were selling leads. So they were using this to do intake for all sorts of areas of law and then sell them to different lawyers in the UK. So it's had 4 years of training. Like it really did turn on and change everything. Now, not everybody in the firm was quite as excited as I was, but and then the other question you asked was, what was the capital investment? $30,000 like loan from Nedco, which was like the neighborhood economic development, because it was in this, like low income area, So that was the capital investment. And then how long did it take? 15 years. So not overnight. There's probably firms that have grown a lot faster than mine. But we kind of always wanted to set ourselves up for the next level. So like when we were at 5 million, I wanted to be set up so that we could be bigger. So I think investing in the infrastructure isn't a quick thing, but it is like a long-term, a really good thing. We have 2 minutes if anybody else has anything else. You too? Okay.
Hey, thank you. So our firm is it's growing. It's probably in the $1 million side of things. And my question is, if you are trying to choose between marketing and controlling the client experience with Emma and with all the tools for your current clients and your prospective clients, is it okay to sacrifice marketing and turning lead software on in exchange for controlled growth, where you're focusing more on your current client's experience? And when a client happens to find your business through word of mouth or through referrals, you are capitalizing and you're turning that prospective client into an actual client.
I'm really glad that you mentioned that, because I had too many notes and I missed some things. And I think as we move into this next phase where consolidation starts to happen, it will happen, you guys. Your brand is going to make you a heck of a lot more valuable. It's one of the reasons why I don't like outsourced marketing agencies. I do not want my website to look or sound like every other. I just don't. So I think not focusing on marketing is a mistake. But of course, you also have to focus on the client experience. But I think from day one and forever, marketing has to be a priority. And then right here.
So, sorry to go back to Emma, but I manage our intake team. That kind of scared me a little bit. How did you introduce it to your intake team? How did they react? You said you didn't have to, you do not fire anyone in?
No. You don't have to fire anyone. You're going to get a ton more leads. They're just going to be happier and have better work to do. I'm lying. I'm a little optimistic on this. They didn't quite react as I would have loved them to react. I had to, really sell it to them, how awesome this is and how much easier your job is. And now you know exactly who you have to get back to. And you don't, I had to do a lot of selling. And as soon as I found it, I kind of rolled it out, which is also a lesson I've learned many times, but still keep making the mistake. Don't do changes too fast, but sometimes an opportunity is too good not to. So they're fine. Everybody's fine, but I would be lying if I said that introducing this type of change doesn't caused some ripples. But you know what I did? I played recordings at the company meeting. We walked through the process. We told them how judges would get to them. We explained that they would never, ever get a message again that didn't have the phone number and the email, and they're coming around.
All right, that brings us to time. Thank you so much, Billy.
Thank you all.